Hi, this is Trey Passer. Welcome to my film series reviews, Volume 5. Okay, the Back to the Future trilogy. Last week I did Back to the Future, the original movie. And now this week I'm doing Back to the Future Part 2, which came out in 1989. Yep, 1989. Okay, in this story, if you remember the way Back to the Future ended, with Doc coming back and telling Marty that he has to go to the future because his kids are in trouble. So this movie picks up where that movie leaves off. Okay, with Marty and Doc and Jennifer having to go to the future to prevent. Uh, Actually, what happens is he has to go to the future and pretend to be his son to prevent his son from getting locked up. Okay, for getting involved with Griff, who's the grandson of Biff from the first movie, and of course his daughter then tries to break her brother out, and then she gets sentenced. Okay, so basically Marty has to impersonate his son in the future and basically not in turn Griff down, and of course, therefore preventing his son and daughter from getting locked up. Okay, which of course it doesn't go as planned as usual. But this movie is a fun sequel. Again, this movie came out 4 years after the first movie, of course, and in this movie, like I said, they traveled to 2015, and Marty. Okay, because something that happens without spoiling it, something that Marty does in the future in 2015 has an effect when they go back to the year 1985. Okay, things are not the way they ended in the first movie. Things are disastrously horrendous. Dramatic changes have happened. And of course, then Marty has to, correct that mistake by going back to the future again in 1955 and not disrupting his original trip in the first movie. Okay, I know that sounds kind of complicated, but that's the gist of it. Anyway, Michael J. Fox reprises his role, of course, in this movie, and he's absolutely fantastic as usual. Him and Christopher Lloyd have great chemistry as Marty McFly and Doc Brown. Them going hopping back and forth through time and stuff. But it's a fun movie, and I say just a little notch below, but it has the same spirit as the first movie. Just a little notch below. In my opinion, I would give this the first Back to the Future movie. I think I gave it a 9. This movie I would give an 8. It's definitely has the same spirit as the first movie, and it's just I love the back and forth and stuff. And Thomas F. Wilson, who plays Biff and Griff, he's great. And then you have Leah Thompson, who plays his mother. The only person that's not in this movie uh, would be Crispin Glover, who there was this dispute between him and the producers, of course, that according to him and what I read, that he said that they offered him considerably less to be in the sequels, even though they were contracted. All the stars were contracted to be in the sequels, but he said that they kind of lowballed him, and he also wanted, so he wanted, a movie on par with Thomas F. Wilson and Leah Thompson. Plus, they said he wanted script approval because apparently the original Back to the Future ending he didn't like. He thought it made the McFlys look like they were money hungry and materialistic. Okay, whether that's true or not, we don't know. But as it is, he wasn't in the movie, and what they did was they got another actor to wear like prosthetics to make himself look like George McFly. In the future, when they showed George McFly, they showed him supposedly in a thing to straighten his back out because he had back trouble. So when you see him in the future, he's like upside down for the most part, and you see him at a distance. And then when you see him in the past, when Marty goes back to the past, you see him again from a distance. And they did use clips from the first movie, Back to the Future, in this movie. And originally, Crispin Glover actually sued them for using his likeness. And of course, he had Universal's, the producers, they settled out of court and gave him a payment for that. But other than that, this movie is a nice, fun ride. Like I said, Marty has to, like I said, he goes to the future to correct his kids, but he does something in the future without spoiling it, which kind of disrupts the past. So when he goes back to 1985, things are drastically different than they were before. And to change things, he has to go back again to 1955 to change things again, okay, without interfering with his first trip, okay. And of course, this movie ends on a note which begs for a sequel. But of course, there was a sequel, and they filmed these sequels, Back to the Future 2 and 3, back to back. Okay, so I really like this movie, and Back to the Future Part 2, I would definitely give it an 8 out of 10. It has the same kind of spirit as the first movie, and even with all the shenanigans with Crispin Glover's character and stuff, it still has the same spirit, and I like the way they showed the scenes from the original movie they interacted them with basically Marty basically seeing himself acting and seeing himself, you know, being there in 1955. And remember, he has to not interact with him with his past self. Okay, and it's a really fun movie. Again, Back to the Future Part 2, we're giving it an 8 out of 10. Definitely looking forward to the third part again. Okay, so tune in next week, and that'll be my review next Sunday. It'll be Back to the Future Part 3, where Marty has to go back into the West, go back into the past, I think back to 1885 to rescue Doc. Okay, and I'll leave it at that. So anyway, let me know what you think of Back to the Future Part 2. Like I said, I like that. I think it's just a little notch below the first movie, but I think it has the same spirit and still really hilarious. And again, Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd are great, and they make these movies what they are. Okay, anyway, so I'm going to upload this part 5 of my film series, and stay tuned, because after that I'll be doing a new film series review, volume 6, and tune in to see what that film series is. Okay? Anyway, feel free to leave comments down below, and this is Trey Pastor saying so long and take care.